And hold on just a second. Let's see. Okay, it went live. They gave me a message that said, "We can't go live. Our traffic is really heavy right now." And so I had to redo it. And so now we're good. So, how are you today?
I am doing really good, and thank you for coming to everyone for enjoying this moment of life clarifications with me, Natasha. And I know usually we have a thing that goes in front of this, but technology today is still in the dance of being human,
Hold
which
on
is
just a second.
perfectly imperfect. And don't worry about it, Kevin, because we've already started. So let's just keep going.
Are
And
you?
I'm so grateful that Kevin, the co-host of the show, can add a little character because I'm characteristic of things being perfectly imperfect, and it's nice that he kind of represents that too with me, and we just kind of go through the dance of who we are and what we're gonna do. We just move
Well,
forward.
but you see, now I am becoming a perfectionist, and I want to play that opening now. No, I'm kidding.
No,
But
I'm not going to allow you because perfectionism is not allowed in this forte because perfectionism is not necessarily a way to be in life. And I kind of don't allow perfectionism to be in my world. I'm actually anti perfectionism.
gosh, if I wish I was married to you because I would fit that bill perfectly.
I'm, when somebody tries to be perfect around me, I just kind of almost throw a fit because it does not work for me.
As a matter of fact, being perfectly imperfect is kind of a gift of mine. I'm just really good at being imperfect.
Um, tag me too. Anybody who reads my texts, reads my emails, I look back going, "Oh, well, that was that word. Well, oh, that was that statement. Oh, that was that." And and the funny thing is that I was going back through my old videos on my YouTube and kind of when I first started putting videos on YouTube, I didn't do well at describing, putting a title, and some of them even just had numbers. I forgot to put a title on it because I was still new doing things. And there's one video that I made because I made a post because I do inspirational quotes on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And with that I made the mistake of saying, if you ever get tiggered, you know that you can do different. Instead of saying, when you get triggered, you know that you can do different or something like that. And I had this loving person who sadly now she's not well in the mind, and it's sad. She gave me the gift of saying, Natasha, you meant to say triggered, right? But you said tiggered. And so I made a video the next day about getting tiggered instead of triggered.
But you know what, though? A lot of people know exactly what you're talking about when you say you got tiggered. It's like saying I'm having an Eeyore day. Everybody
Uh-huh.
knows exactly what you're talking about when you say I'm having an Eeyore day. Oh my.
Well, that's not what we were taught. That was totally opposite, but it was funny because I had to giggle. Instead of being that victim role that, and I never actually, with my dyslexia, life taught me a long time ago, don't be a victim of how people correct you. It's just part of life. It's going to be part of your life. Just roll it off. I've had principals come in and change my board that I've written. Natasha, Miss Venter, can I change your board? This really doesn't work, and I don't want people to start reading things wrong, here. And so I go, well, and then I taught the students how to just kind of go, oh well, I made a mistake, type of thing. But
You
it
know,
was just funny about how I was like going, let's get triggered, and when something triggers us, decide to get triggered and kind of go, okie dokie, let's go down the street, let's do different here, let's go. It just kind of, we take things so seriously. And I was asking my team, I asked Michael, and he really didn't have much that we wanted to talk about. And I asked Mother Mary if she wanted me to talk about anything, and she kind of just was a little bit quiet. And then I asked Jesus, and he said kindness. And this was a perfect into how to be kind to ourselves in the midst of life happening around us.
I get so irritated. I can't say that. It amazes me that people are not forgiving to themselves as much as they should be.
Mhm.
because a lot of, and I get it. It comes from what mom and dad said when you were a kid. If you came home with a lousy report card, and I'm telling you, I was a crappy student when I was a kid, but I've done very, very well in life. And so but a lot of this. So talk to us about that. Why are people so difficult about forgiving themselves?
I can just say that it's been the baggage that we've kind of collected, and I'm calling it baggage because it's something that we carry around of other people's beliefs, other people's sayings, what we've seen on TV. The good old days of the housewife who did great, or these different scenarios, or we see these so-called movies of perfectionism, or we have just things that are all around us that say, our shiny cars that we have to get. Our shiny build things inside of our houses to show that we're better and that we have something. It's that perfectionism. And honestly, there's a lot of people who watch the parents around them trying to be perfect, talking about being perfect, and actually they were far from it. That we never really saw the other side of them because nobody was vulnerable with themselves to learn about making mistakes. My kids learned right away that mom makes mistakes.
Yeah, but
And then
you,
I go, "Oh, well,
yeah.
how can I do different? How can we do different? What can we do different?" It's okay to make a mistake, but it's being kind with ourselves to say, "Whoop, okay, I just made a mistake of thinking something was paid and I didn't realize it wasn't being paid because I didn't do the step." And it was like, "Oh, well, okay, I'm sorry. My integrity doesn't let me lie about that. So I need to pay it, but oops, I'm sorry." It was, but yet am I beating myself up about it? No, because it was like, "Oh, all I can do is fix it." If I sit here with the stick, it's only going to make things worse. And I have to be kinder to myself. I have to be kinder to myself.
And some of us on a intellectual level recognize that and realize that, but on a heartfelt emotional level, we don't, because we are always thinking about what will somebody else think of us. I
Oh,
know I
yes.
hate to be stupid. I hate for somebody to think I'm stupid and that I don't know what I'm talking about. And we all make mistakes. We all do the same stuff. That's why you can make a joke about something that's a common denominator that everybody has to go through, and that's why what makes it funny is we all have to deal with stuff.
Hmm.
Why is it that some of us can't deal with it very well?
We just haven't practiced that vulnerability. We really haven't practiced vulnerability. And vulnerability, when we get to that point saying, "Oh," like I had someone who was needing to have a conversation with somebody, and they were struggling with, should I have this conversation? And I said to this person, sometimes we have to be vulnerable to move forward. Even if it's not going to go the way we want it to, but at least being vulnerable made the movement happen. And then she didn't say what she needed to say, didn't know it was need to say, didn't say what she needed to say, and then all of a sudden there was an opportunity where she had a crossroads where she was either going to be vulnerable and say what she needed to say, or not be vulnerable and go and deal with what she was going to have to deal with and keep the ball rolling in the same direction, which
Mhm.
she did not want to go. I mean, it was hurting her stomach that she didn't want to go that direction. But at the same time, though, she wasn't being vulnerable enough to say the word that she needed to say to stop that action from going on. Well, she actually did. And she was surprised that the person that she said it to was supportive to her and asked her questions. "Well, why?" And she said, "I didn't even know that this person had this in them." But yet she did it at the time when life gave her a moment where she went, "Oh, I have an opportunity, or I move forward and keep going the same direction. And I know that people can tell when that crossroads happen. It doesn't always happen, but there's a moment where we kind of go, if I say this, it's going to change the world. Or if I do this, things are going to happen, either bad or good. I mean, there's these moments, not in every day, but there's these moments where we kind of go, oh, here it is. Here's a moment. And if we can really take that moment and go into that vulnerability side, and that's a form of kindness for ourselves.
Sure.
Because not everybody when we keep going forward in this road that doesn't work and it's not working, it's not kind to anybody.
Right.
Because we're not speaking a truth. We're not speaking, and I'm saying a truth because we all have perspectives and everybody has a truth in that perspective that they have. And so that's why I say a truth. But if we can go into saying, this is a truth, this is how I feel, and respect other people's may have that, that's a form of kindness in a moment to help life get a little bit different. I'm not saying better, I'm not saying worse, I'm not saying anything besides just different. Because without difference, nothing else can happen.
But if you change your perception of what is going on, that can change things for you as well, right?
Oh, definitely. Oh, definitely. And that's where getting a little vulnerable so you see both sides of the story, then you can move forward. It's kind of like the other day, I was having a conversation at work, and I was saying we were talking about being in gratitude, having gratitude. And I said, I wake up every morning and thank my body. Thank you, body, for at least willing to get up in the morning. I am far from being a morning person. And so for me to get my body out of bed and in the shower by a certain time in the morning, I'm grateful that it was willing to do that because my mind was not helping and my emotions weren't helping. So it was up to my body to do it. And so that was, but I was being kind to it because I was giving it a thank you, a hug. But I was saying to the people that I was talking to that, that's what I do. I'm grateful. And I even go to when I'm having a conversation with my husband and it's not going well sometimes because not every kind of conversation we're going to have with everybody is going to be. I said, you know what I do? Sometimes I say, I'm just grateful that you're here willing to talk with me about it.
That shuts him right up, doesn't it?
Um, it shifts the perception.
Sure it does. Because he had a point of view and he was going to stress his point of view because it was his point of view. And then you came across with a thank you for sharing your point of view. I really appreciate it. It's kind of like, oh, so she got what I was trying to say. So now what do I say? Do I say sorry? That would be next thing.
It's a kind way to disarm.
It does a fabulous job of, especially when you're arguing with somebody and you say, yeah, you're right. That shuts people right up because then
It
what are they
does.
going to say?
Exactly. And it's not that that person is able to believe it all the time, nor will they believe it all the time, but it's the point of me shifting, being kinder myself so that I can move forward through this conversation because I can tell you being kind to myself, being kind to those around me, it really makes a difference on how we walk in our lives.
Sure it
It
does.
really makes a difference how our ripple effect happens. We we just navigate through the waters differently. And and it really helps people to understand where we stand. That, you know, when we go through life a little bit of, hey, I made a mistake here. It's amazing how people around you kind of start saying, wait a minute, hmm, there was a time too that was a lot like this, and I apologize for that too. It's like they kind of get into a pattern of feeling safer around other people. And isn't that what this world really needs, is people to feel safer around each other?
We know you were mentioning the fact that Jesus told you to talk about kindness. And I don't know how versed you are in the Bible or the New Testament or when he was actually walking on the planet, but he had the unique ability to look somebody that he knew was going to kill him and treat them with love. Now,
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but I know that if I were to be confronted with somebody that I knew had the power to have me killed in the most horrific way possible, and he was going to do that, I'm pretty sure that I would not have anything very nice to say to him. And Jesus at the same time did. He accepted people for who they are. He let them be. And that if there's one thing out of the Bible, one thing out of his service on earth that is worth taking, that's in my opinion, that's the lesson. He was kind to everybody, be them a tax collector, a Pharisee, a prostitute, anybody. He was a human person, and he loved human people. That's all I got to say.
No, and I agree. I
Now,
totally agree
so let me ask
that
you, though, what does Jesus say about that?
he says, "Well, dude, I was not perfect."
True.
He says, and that's the thing that I understand. No, I'm going to be honest here. I did not read the Bible. I have read parts of the Bible. Remember, I'm dyslexic. Reading things like that is a struggle for me. Between the thous and the thuses and I lose. It starts becoming a riddle to me, and I can't. My eyes don't track it anymore.
No,
Um,
I went to Lutheran school for 8 years. I went to church and Sunday school. I was a leader in the perfect attendance. I had 10 years and 4 months of perfect attendance. I could have fallen asleep and picked up information about all that stuff.
and I was through 8th grade in Catholic school, so or actually high school too, because I was went to Catholic high school and grade school.
That had to
But
suck.
what the one thing that I understand about the Bible is that Jesus and every story that is written in that was written by man. Interpreted, give their perception of what they saw during those moments.
Of course,
And
women
then it was shifted and changed through the years.
by men.
So with that, talking with Jesus himself, he says, I was not perfect through that moment. That there are times when I looked at somebody that was making a very hard decision, and he's giving me an example now as he's talking with me, that he's saying that, okay, let me make sure that because I like to give the wording as cleanly as I can, that there was a man that was ready to whip another man because he was belittling him. He was this guy whipping was believing that this man was beneath him. And I lost my cool because it was going against, he says, my belief that everyone was an equal.
Right.
And I grabbed that man's wrist before he was able to whip him again. And I looked him in the eye with such pissing. I mean, he just says that, and he's showing me the look because it's the look that only, there's no words with it because it's just pure disdain for what somebody's doing. It's not hatred, it's just anger of just, what the are you doing?
It's a podcast. It's yours. You can say whatever you like.
Yeah, but I honor.
Just kidding.
But then there's a part of him, he says, that when he was there, equaling this other man's hatred, he says that I saw myself in the other man, and I could not be that.
The man who was being whipped.
the man who was whipping.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha.
And he says that at that moment, and me holding that man's wrist with the whip up in the air, ready to come down because I stopped his arm, he says. He says, that man saw my look. And he said the same thing. I am another man now. Maybe not in those words, but that was what he said. But meeting that man in that look, I realized that I too had that anger, that disdain, that hatred for someone else inside of me, and it was time for me to look at that so I can change it. And
Well,
he's saying to me, that's why we have things in our lives, is to see, do we have that in us so that we can change it?
yep. I I agree with that. I firmly, and that's very. By the way, you see, in the last couple of episodes that we've done, one on Monday and one here, you're displaying your gifts more than you have, and talking directly with other folks and stuff. I think you should do more of that. If you are listening to this podcast and you think she should too, give us a like or give us a yes give us a yo baby in the comment section. Yo, baby, that's what I want to hear. That's really good because it's vital. That is exactly how he portrayed himself and how he wanted all of us to be, is to not be hurting other people, but to care and to like and to love people. Yo, baby, see?
Thank you, Veronica. Thank you. You're a blessing. And that's the thing that I think that, okay, he's saying that, as we walk, I want you to know that as I walked, that I was human. And as the human I was, it was for me to show how to do different.
Mm-hmm.
When I walked and I was weak, because humans are weak, I wanted people to know that you can always change who you were by just doing different. But it's that moment in time when you make a choice. Do you choose kindness or do you choose old patterns? And that's basically what he's saying it boils down to. Do we show kindness or old patterns? Old patterns from parents, belief systems, religious belief systems, you know, religious belief systems, political belief systems, whatever it is that we believe in that isn't necessarily a truth. Because I know that for me, knowing that love and kindness is the truth.
Oh
It's
yeah.
the only truth that's out there.
Oh,
And I
I
can tell you that people who've witnessed me over this last month, if you ever heard me talk badly about the people that I was interacting with, you misheard me because I remember I did not speak badly, even though I was having a hard time with them. It was the choices that were being made.
Now you're talking about your work.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the choices that were made by everybody turned out to be wrong by almost everybody
Mhm.
because it there were misperceptions there, and there was stuff that needed to be talked out, but then you got the human ego involved, and I'm right and I'm the principal, and but I'm the union rep, and the whole thing ended up being a great big mess for and but there was no one, you more than anybody were there to say stop, hold, let's reevaluate what we're doing here.
And like I had a conversation with the one of my people that are important, that I told her that, sometimes we have to have destruction before we can have recreation.
It's true.
And that's what I'm looking at. I said, this is what I'm looking at. Is that there was something that wasn't working beforehand. And sometimes when it's not working beforehand, that we have to recreate it to get it to work better. And, and she actually says, I agree. I totally agree. And I said, I'm grateful that we're big enough to move forward. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm grateful for that. And she agreed. And we're all working on it. And that's the thing is that, moving forward, life is going to be challenging to us. It's challenging now. Every moment of our day, we have choices. Do we choose kindness or do we stand? Now, I'm going to say kindness doesn't mean that we don't have boundaries. Kindness sometimes says, wait a minute. Eh,
No, well, let's not confuse kindness with weakness.
Yes. Yes, thank you for that wording. Because kindness is not weak.
No, kindness takes a peculiar type of strength that a lot of people don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to be strong enough to be kind to somebody regardless of what that other individual seems to be pointing to or saying about you or to you or about your kids or about your whatever it is, that you have to be kind. You don't have to be, but you can be kind, but it takes an enormous amount of strength to do that.
It does. And that's the thing about life is that uh I've I've actually stood my ground and said no. I'm going to say that, this thing about somebody, I actually had a gun pulled on me one time.
I haven't heard that story.
It was actually my girlfriend's ex-boyfriend.
That's the worst kind of situation to be in, by the way.
Yeah, he actually climbed up on the balcony and was getting in the back door of the apartment that I was in. And he
See,
had a gun with him and he was pointing at me through the window. And and I had a choice, either to swear at him and, I was about 20 years old, so I was still pretty young doing this, that I actually told him that this was not where he needed to be. This is not the action he needed to do. This is not what can happen. This doesn't work. I don't remember the words, that was, 30 years ago or so more, but it was stop. This is not working. Now, did I let him in the door? No, I had boundaries. Did I say that it was okay that he was pointing a gun at me? I said, no, point the gun somewhere else. But this is not who we are. You know that we don't do this. We have a different friendship than this, and so we worked it out. He ended up climbing back down the balcony and walking away.
Because most of the time, guys will just to keep from having to walk down the balcony, they'll renegotiate. Okay, I'll put the gun away. Let me in now. Thank you for not being stupid and opening the door and letting him in.
But
That
that
was
was a perfect example because I wasn't mean to him.
didn't have
I
to
was
be.
I was
You,
kind, but this is not here. Do not do this. I do not want to call the cops on you. You need to leave now.
you exhibited strength and kindness at the same time, which is really cool. So, how did that story end up? Did they break up amicably and that was the end of it, or did they? Don't tell me they got back together again.
Oh
That's
no.
okay. Good.
No, 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 no. She ended up getting a restraining order and having to move
Okay.
away.
Well,
But
some. Go ahead.
it's just that moment that we have things that are in front of us that happen, but we can always say no. But do we have to have a whipping stick with our words? Do we have to have a whipping stick with our actions? Do we have to have a whipping stick with, and as Jesus said, doing something out of anger to hurt someone else is not necessarily being kind. And that's not being kind to us, because what does our brains do afterwards? What do we think about ourselves afterwards? We don't feel good about it when we have a conversation that goes negative. We beat ourselves up because it's like, gosh darn it, why did I say that? Why? It's like, try our better. Practice makes better. That's my mantra. Practice makes better, and I'm perfectly imperfect doing this this journey. And the words aren't going to always be good, but yet they're going to be kind. And when we can do that, it does shift. And sometimes kindness is walking away because the conversation's not going anywhere.
Especially when your safety is involved. And like with you, you had no earthly idea. Now, he was a friend of yours, so you knew him, right?
Yes, I did know him. I
But
wouldn't say that I knew him in a drunk or a drug state, because that's unpredictable, which is what he was that night. But yet I also know that in that state, that sometimes, unless the brain is so warped, that you still can reach a part of somebody in that. And that's where, and I understand that I have a team that works with me, and the person who I am, that there's a way that I reach people that some people don't reach.
no, I got it. Now, was she there at the time?
No,
Girlfriend? Okay. Okay. Well, then that was better. What did he pull a gun on you for if she wasn't there?
because I knew where she was.
And he wanted that little tidbit of information. I get that now. But so you were, not only were you kind and strong, you were brave. That's a hell of a
I
combination.
wouldn't say I was brave. I was shaking
Well,
like a leaf.
unless you needed depends after getting a gun pointed at you, because I might need depends if somebody pointed a gun at
Yeah,
me.
I was shaking.
It's one of those things, because you have absolutely no control over what's about to happen.
But and this is that part of me, I guess, being intuitive my whole life. There's a part of me that, even looking back when I didn't know the statement, that knows what to do. There's always been a part of me that knows what to do. And there's been parts of time when that part of me jumped in front and had the saying. Now, if that was Archangel Michael that was talking through me and I didn't know it, because I used to channel without knowing it. And then when I tried to channel, I couldn't channel because I tried channeling.
Don't you
But
hate it?
before I knew I could channel, and I channeled, there was sometimes statements that came out of my mouth that I didn't know that were coming out, and it fixed the situation, or it managed the situation, or it navigated the situation. And I want everybody to know that there is a part of them that knows what to do. And we got to trust that part when it wants to step forward. But many of us overthink a situation, and we try to think our way through it instead of letting the emotions of kindness and the emotions of that part of us that knows what to do to come through. And it's amazing when we just kind of step out of the way a little bit and let that part of us that knows what to do. Kind of like when Jesus was saying, he saw himself in the other person.
Right.
And that shifted the perspective. And I can tell you, I do the same thing. I can see that person inside of me. And maybe that's why I lived with an alcohol like all those years. Because it's like I saw that there was somebody in there that was like me that needed to be worked with.
Gotcha. Well, but there are, when you're thinking and talking about things like that you need to be worked with, do you still feel, no matter, even though you are where you are, that you still feel like you need time and attention and that you need to be worked with? Or do you feel like you've reached um a crossroads of sorts? Or do you feel like you're still a work in progress?
I'm human. My heart is still pumping blood through my system, and my brain is still working. Yes, I still need to work on something.
Okay. Well, then that makes one of us. I'm kidding. We all need to work on something, and if we can just get past the barriers of deciding what that is, and then just saying, okay, well, I'm going to make this little minute change, and I'm hopeful that that will help a little bit.
Yeah, and it's amazing how when we decide to make a small little change, how the universe says, "Are you sure you got that change?" And it keeps bringing something around to have you practice a little bit to get that muscle a little stronger. And it's amazing how that works. And many times we falter, but that's okay. Pick up the pants and the belt strap and just kind of say, okay, here I go again, let's go forward, because I can tell you I wasn't always perfect the first time around either, or the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time.
I don't.
I just didn't. I Sometimes it took me 5 or 6 times before I had the practice to do better.
Are you talking about lifetimes?
I'm talking about this lifetime
Oh, okay, okay. Because
and lifetimes, but I can only really, other lifetimes are helping me through this lifetime because of what I've done in past lifetimes, but this is the one that this dimension, this moment where I'm at on YouTube, on my Facebook page, on your YouTube, on your page, that as we walk through life, that in this moment, this dimension, this timeline, this is what I'm working on right now. And this is what I want to do better with.
kindness.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I wasn't sure, because you're one of the more kind people I've ever met. So you're going to have to explain that, Lucy.
Well, I'm going to go back because people witnessed this the last couple weeks.
No, you can't. You can't point out a isolated incident that caught you so by surprise that none of it made any sense to you at the time. That you can be forgiven for that one.
No, 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 no. Because
You're being
actually,
hard on
during those moments, I was getting a lot of. I still. There's a part of me that stands out here and says, I'm the observer. And this
right?
is the messages you're getting of what's going on. And there's that moment where, being human, things are interacting and you still have those emotions that are getting triggered. And so with that was the repercussion, but that was the thing that really made me reevaluate. Am I walking my talk? Am I navigating through this? Am I choosing my words with loving kindness? And there's that one song that Shinedown sings, and it's How Do You Love? In the end, all that really truly matters is how do you love, is one of the statements. And I've shifted it just a little bit. And during that whole time, that song was going through my head. And so whenever I had an email, some emails I would erase it 6 times before I sent, 15 words, because the fact that it was my integrity and my love that was being challenged, and I had to make sure I was walking my talk.
Yeah, you ended up not having to worry about any of that, right? Because it all kind of blew over, right? Or did it?
It's moving its way forward. It's moving its way forward. We're making sure that the speed bumps and the little bumps that we're having, of making sure that new habits are created, that we're moving forward. So yes, this whole thing was a destruction to create creation. It's a new galaxy of just things coming together. It's the Big Bang Theory. Sometimes we have to have the Big Bang Theory to just blow up what we need to get moving forward, because I can tell you that there was miscommunication happening a lot with some of the people that we were interacting with, and we all needed to work on communication. We all did.
We
All
all,
did.
we all do. because we can communicate so badly at times
Mhm.
that and without even making any intention of doing that. I've
Yep.
been caught in that several times in my life. Uh, some Somebody accused me of saying something that I had no that you've gotten to know me a little bit. And I tend to be a little flip at times and just say silly stuff. And sometimes people take me seriously. And that could be that could be a problem if they take me seriously in the wrong set of circumstances, if you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying.
And there again is that perception of am I in the moment where I'm at at the end of my day, feeling really wrung out, taking that joke in the wrong way.
Oh yes. Well, when you're married, I can just see I can just see that happening. It happened in my house.
Mhm.
I, like I can't think of anything specifically, but it would happen where I would make a flip comment and I paid for it sometimes for weeks. But
And yet at the same time though, the other partner has a responsibility to be kind to themselves and say, "Where am I at?" Before I judge the other, where am I at?
right, that would be helpful.
It would be helpful.
Can you
And
teach?
and kindness between 2 people, when we're especially when we're living with them, that's where I like the word professional boundaries. Because professional boundaries, you gotta be able to be professional, have integrity, have words that kind of make sense, that can't come back and sue ya. You know, you have to have words that have grace to them, at the same time saying, "Hmm, mm, mm, mm." And professional boundaries are a good thing to have in marriages because there's kindness sometimes with professional boundaries.
Yeah, and there should be. I'll tell you, Miss Marriage Counselor, help me out here a little bit because I think that personally, because I never made it past 24 years, but personally, I think that the longer you're married, the more need for kindness there is because the more apparent your partner's flaws are and the more apparent there is for need for forgiveness, and that when you're together for that long and suddenly not loading the dishwasher becomes like the big deal of the day.
Oh, shoot, I did forget to run the dishwasher, didn't I?
Yeah, I knew it. So how do you help people to get, because that this time of there needs to be, in my opinion, a switch that happens in a long-term relationship somewhere's about 20 to 30 years that that couple's going to stay together. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I would say that in brother sisterly relationships, you
Oh, same
know,
same thing.
in partnerships of just friendships, partnerships in long-term working relationships. Now on the 23rd is my and my husband's 30th year anniversary.
Congratulations.
32 years together. And I can say that just this last couple weeks, because everything kind of seems to hit at the same time, that we ended up deciding to do a restart button. And it's not the first time, and it won't be the last time in our relationship that we had a conversation that we needed to actually have a restart button. And we were big enough to know that this was a moment to shake us up to decide what we were going to do.
Somebody's asking us what do you mean by restart moment?
A restart moment is when we there again are at the crossroads of making a decision. Like for you, and you said this in one of our videos about how, you had a moment when you were sitting at that restaurant with your wife and you had a choice. Do I make this statement or do I make that statement? And this statement would be is I'm done. Or do I make that statement of saying, okay, you made mistakes, I've made mistakes. Yours is a little bit heavier, but I'm not gonna go there. That's the kind of a conversation we're having off in our head. And yet I'm willing to say, what can we do different from this moment forward? I know that you're having problems with this, and you're telling me I'm having problems with that. So how can I shift my stuff? How can you shift your stuff so that we can push the reset button to go forward?
And both of you agreed to that.
Both of us agreed to that. It has to be a mutual agreement. It cannot be one-sided. It can start one-sided, but the other has to reciprocate some kind of shift for it to happen.
Yeah. Well, since you brought up the restaurant, I can tell you verbatim what I said and what she said. And it went like this. She sat down, ordered coffee, ordered breakfast, and I looked at her and I said, "What are you doing?" That's all I had to say was, "What are you doing?" And then she said, "Well, I think we would be better off apart." So I didn't have to say anything. It was all kind of laid out there, but it was, but you're right. It's, how I could have been, which is why I chose a restaurant. I'm not as stupid as I might look. I chose a restaurant because I wanted to make sure that she would feel comfortable coming and understanding that I wasn't going to make a big problem in a restaurant, and that we could talk about what we needed to talk about without me pulling out a gun, shut
Mhm,
up, anyway, and shooting her. And that also encouraged me to be kind and understand that this was a lost little soul and there's not a thing I could do for her.
mhm,
So all of those things were going through my mind. So, but kindness was top on the list of how can I get through this and still be kind.
mhm. 'Cause it's not, sometimes when we're breaking up a relationship, whatever that may be, sometimes it is over siblings. Sometimes it is mom and dads. Sometimes it is something. But when we're in that moment, do we burn a bridge that frankly, we don't want that person in our life anymore?
Right.
But do we truly need to blow up the bridge? We can just burn the bridge nice and calmly, like lighting a candle, just calmly, so that it burns itself away. We're not adding explosives to it. We're not adding, something, like siblings. Sometimes people change enough that maybe in another 3 years, somebody can come back and somebody can get healthy. The other person can get healthy and a relationship can heal. But if we blew up the bridge, there's no way for that there's too much damage to come back. But if we just do enough to let that flame just kind of take it away, so that sometime later, maybe, not of our choice, but maybe if that other person can come back and get healthier, and we can get healthier, and we can meet somewhere in the middle of that new built bridge.
Exactly. And I intended to keep that bridge alive. I really did. I didn't intend to burn it. I didn't intend to blow it up. Until she did something to my oldest son, which I found unacceptable.
Mhm,
Then I blew it up happily and willfully and willingly, because I didn't think that what she wasn't acting kind, she wasn't acting considerate, she wasn't acting like the mother of her child that needed her help and
mhm.
needed her consideration. She just poo pooed it and walked away. And, oh well, wah wah is what she used to say. And sorry, I, I get angry. That's the only time I ever get angry, really. And I'm so glad that that's long gone. But even so, even from that standpoint, I was acting from a kindness to my son and strength to the one who was hurting my son, and that was not acceptable to me. And so
Mhm,
it was important for me to speak honestly and accurately. Without I left a few metaphors in there that I probably should have left out, but you know what I mean.
And I'm gonna say, though, that that is the humanness, and that's the Jesus that grabbed the other guy's arm and had anger and disdain in his eyes and his heart and his being. When he said that he grabbed that guy's wrist, that he met that anger with anger.
Right.
But it takes a strength, and practice makes better, to say, wait a minute, this is not going to get me anywhere.
Exactly. Exactly. So, so what do we do, my friend? How do we fix it?
How do we fix it?
Fix the world right now. Let's do that.
Let's fix the world. The only way that we can really fix the world is, it's almost like that pebble being thrown into the pond. And it's just starting with one person in this world, which is self, and start being kind to that self by saying, I'm sorry that we've done choices. We're going to try to do better. That I'm going to be kind to you. And instead of always picking something that you don't like to eat, I'm going to start weaning myself off that habit. There's those different ways of being kind to self
Right.
that we can navigate with. And then start being kind to the person who we get in the car with, or we're laying in bed with. And it may not work all day long. It might just be one key moment in the day. But starting somewhere, starting one step, one thing that you can do with kindness. Maybe it's just extra, if somebody's waking up and they're looking like they're having a rough morning, you pour them their cup of coffee and you hand it to them. Don't say a word. Just hand them a cup of coffee and then walk away. That alone can be kindness. And if you don't do something else for the rest of the day, at least you did something. It's that practice to do better. And then maybe practice with the restaurant person, or the person that's standing in the grocery store aisle, or just someone who is needing to reach for something, and you reach and grab it for them. And then you give it to them. Just those little moments of kindness do us better as well as somebody else.
And I got a suggestion. Go ahead and grab your cards, because we're coming to the end of our time. Grab your cards, and then what we're all going to do, everybody that's listening, and we are going to what should we put out there? I'll take your lead in this. How to be more kind, how to think before we act. How can we form the question that the cards can answer for us?
So should we have angels, fairies, or the oracles?
I don't know. I like you pick. I unless somebody else has a suggestion who's listening. Which would be na 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 na
I'm kind of getting a
na.
combination of angel and fairy.
Okay. You can be an angelic fairy then.
Well, they are in the same. It's just in different realms. They're all kind of the same story. They're all star people. Fairies are star people of this planet. Angels are kind of in between, and then we got the star people. So it's just all in the mix.
It's all energy.
It's all energy, and they're all a gift for us to be helping us.
Yes.
Okay, so the question is about kindness, or how to start being our more enlightened selves. How can we change and shift so that we can be kinder to ourselves?
Can the cards tell us that? We'll find out here in a minute. We need background music.
Gratitude. I'm hearing gratitude.
Is that a song? Okay, well then apparently that's not background music. But we got gratitude. I have gratitude that you're here. I got gratitude
Well,
that our listeners are here that are here. I've got gratitude that I got sun in my eyes, I guess. I'm this window out thing, but that's okay. It'll get there.
So the fairies, so travel. So with travel, this isn't about a trip that we're going to be going on. It's about this day-to-day work that we're doing is called the traveling of life. And we travel every day. We have time where we can either sit in our reality and sit in the muck of it, sit in the disdain of it, sit in the hate of where we're at, or we can travel and do and add light in other places of our world. Life is always going to be heavy and there's always going to be something that you can perceive as going wrong, or you can perceive it as going more, okay, better. It's all about how do we travel in our minds? How do we navigate how we're adding light to our darkness? So travel. An upcoming trip proves to be life-changing in positive ways.
So where are you going? I'm kidding.
Actually, I'm going somewhere on my anniversary.
See?
Doing some research. So remember that as we're doing the school of life, and we're kind of sometimes going from college to elementary days, and then back up to college, somewhere in high school, down to elementary. And there might be even a pre-K moment. So we're all in this dance of trying to figure out, sometimes it's our inner child that's having a moment, sometimes it's our adult self. So just know that we're all in this moment where it's time to do research. You need more information about the situation. Look into it further before proceeding. So in other words, check in with yourself before you have a conversation. Interact with the conversation instead of reacting to it. Those types of statements, those types of movements do help. When we sit there and go, before we speak, that could be a big practice right there. Taking a breath before we speak, because you never know what can happen in the moment that might come to you. Your team, your angels, guides, may give you an idea of what to say in that moment before you have a reactionary moment, to have an interactionary moment. And these are the fairies, by the way. Connect with nature. Take a walk outside, even if it's just for a moment, and just interact with nature. Touch a plant, water a plant, interact with an animal, interact with something, an element. Like today I was told to wear copper. There's been some big shifts going on, and so I've needed some balancing, and copper's a good one for me. But what did they ask me to wear today? A heart. So it's about being kind to myself through these shifts. So doing some nature walk will help. You're rejuvenated and inspired by spending time in nature, because it's about moving to a new home. It's about moving into the new home of where we're at. Our home, it's not necessarily about the four walls or the walls that we have around us. It's about the new home of our heart. So moving is a step of the right direction for you. So it's okay to move, and it's good. You know how moving a home is uncomfortable?
Yeah, I know. It hurt like a son of a gun when I broke my shoulder doing it.
I bet. Well, I can tell you that moving is not always comfortable, and it takes, packing boxes and unpacking boxes to move and deciding what do we want to take with us on the move. And so if we can just check in and see, what do we need to take with us with this new idea, this new kindness walk, this new walk of I don't want to say less judgments, because we can always have judgments, but can we be kind with those judgments? We can say, oh yeah, I'm asking for healing on this, because we never know what that ripple effect is going to happen. Okay, so now I'm going to shuffle the angel deck. So It
Oh,
took me just a second.
that's okay because I like it when you do the cards at the end of the end of our time. So
Me too.
it makes for fun
Well, and it's almost a kind of a synopsis of what we've been talking about a lot of times.
most of the time. Most of the time, that's true. Most of the time, that's true. So, and one of these days, what you're going to have to do is show the folks at home how they are how you are shuffling them and what order you're putting them in and all that kind of stuff. That would probably be fun for them to know.
Okay, so I have them spread out like this. Okay, and then I look like right now. The card that came to me was yes, this one right here. And it kind of got misshuffled. Okay, and so then I pull that one, and then as I feel the cards and check them out, I am feeling like, oh, there you are. And you popped out right there. And I heard 3.
There you go.
So that's kind of how I do it. And sometimes I'll pick the top 3 cards, but I kind of go with my instincts and they tell me kind of go pick your cards, pick the top 3 or whatever. So the angel Shanti says, I'm the angel of peace, bringing you new tranquility and smoother roads ahead. So remember, being kind and finding that grace with what's going on around us. Ooh, you can really help yourself and others around you by giving just a little bit of, yeah, they're human too, aren't they? Because Aurora is saying, you're flying high right now. You are flying high right now, which may threaten others, but don't descend because others will soon become inspired by your example. So, in other words, as you start walking, other people might not understand this kindness that's coming out of you or this new practice that you're doing. And you can maybe just say, hey, just trying something new. I'm just trying something new. And that's part of that setting the reset button is just saying, you know what? I need to do something different. So remember, as you flying high, you're going to do what you can do with what's going on. There's going to be moments where you're going to struggle. And flying high means that you're in sync with what you're doing. And as you're doing that, know that things are going to be okay. Sometimes practice makes better. Because Fiona, as we always have angels, now you're asked for the angels' help. Be open to receiving divine guidance and assistance. You deserve heaven's help. So no matter what you're doing, you always have assistance, but it's stepping back and letting them help. I can tell you that there are synchronicity things that are always happening, kind of like the last couple weeks, that even though it was a struggle for me, I held grace and love for those around me because I knew that this was a restart button time. And how, if I had disdain and hatred for what was going on, the reset button wasn't gonna be able to have a better foundation for it to grow on and build. And it was up to me to have that kindness to help that moment. Even though there's sometimes moments I had to scream in the pillow because I'm human, but it wasn't at someone. It was just in a moment where I needed to express that emotion.
So you were mean to your pillow?
I try not to pick the one I sleep in.
That's good. Because when you yell on that one, you get all kinds of negative energy that comes right back to you when you're sleeping.
And then you're sleeping in it, and it's like, ah. And then the top card was Daniel. I just love this angel. He saved my marriage. I don't know how many different times. I'm the angel of marriage and assisting you right now. So no, you have angels helping you in the relationships. So instead of saying marriage, I'm the angel of relationships. with thyself too, and I'm assisting you right now. So know that you have assistance. This is a wonderful angel. Michael is a wonderful angel. Jesus is wonderful help. They don't care what you believe in. They just care that you try.
You know what? I think that I've just discovered another t-shirt slogan. Oh crap! I lost it. I had it, and then it, it was along the lines of, "Isn't it nice when somebody gives a shit?" Because how many times in our life do we go through and we go, "Nobody gives a flying foo about me, and nobody gives a shit." Isn't it nice to know that every day that you walk, every day that you sleep, every day that you go and do anything, you got this group of people, this incredible group of people that have been here before. They know what you're doing. They've been through the tough times, and they're there to help you get through it. And they actually, honestly, completely give a shit.
They really do. They really do. It's just one of those moments where even if you can't believe in in the human form, know that you have the angels just putting their wings around you. You may not feel it, but just know that you'll feel this overwhelming, and that's the grace that they want you to know.
Exactly. Now, Susan says CRS strikes again. I forget what CRS stands for. Let's see. I know what the last word probably stands for, but I forget. Oh,
I'm lucky I remember what LOL stands for.
spell it out for me. I'm just, just kind of a weak thing here. So, and so I am, by the way, that was a wonderful smile, and that wasn't for me. So, but that's it, which is perfectly okay.
Yeah,
So
it was actually my husband walked in the door,
I
and
know that.
it's the restart. You just sometimes you have to just say, I love. I just love.
There is a song. Did you hear this song? Um, this from this morning?
Yes, I did. And you can say her name. I think that that would be actually she's got my child's name. My child picked Fia.
Fia.
Hmm.
Yeah. Fia is a and I think Susan was oh, I can't remember shit. That's what it was. Yeah. Uh and, and quite often. But she was on the show earlier this morning, and I'm not sure if anybody was on, but she's a beautiful singer songwriter, and
Mhm.
and I've actually asked uh, her management if I can use that song on an ongoing basis because
Oh.
it's called "Love Is Love."
Mhm.
And what she says in it is just remarkable. So you'll have to go to um, um,
My Independence Report.
yes, and listen to the entire episode. It is very
She's a sweet soul, very sweet soul who she didn't say that she I like the way she said that. I'm not psychic, I'm intuitive.
well,
I
and
like that because I'm psychic and intuitive. But
however,
that's where, growing our own intuitiveness becomes I think that that's where that when we sit in discomfort, it doesn't help our intuitiveness. Self-intuitiveness is not necessarily always being a psychic, but it's about being in tune with ourselves. And kindness can help that with that moment of love and understanding and kindness for one another, even when we're struggling. It's like having someone to have a struggle with sometimes is nice. It's like I don't like the struggle, but I'm grateful for someone being in my life.
but at the end of the day, when everybody's calmed down and everybody's decided that you're pretty nice anyway, then there are certain rewards with when you're in a relationship that can be very very I don't know rewarding. For lack of a better term. Wow, that's
You did that well.
actually
So
like,
today, everyone, please just say a moment of just, oops, I did. I could have done different. It's okay to say those. Oops, I could have done different. I'm asking I'm asking that the greater good comes out of this. I said something actually the other day. I was like, "Oh, I hope the greater good comes out of this. Please, 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 please." And so if you can just kind of just take those moments and pick a moment in a day. Practice by taking a moment where kindness can overstep something else that is more negative. That you can just kind of have that moment where you can just say, "I'm choosing kindness here," and it may a little bit be uncomfortable in that moment, but yet at the same time, see where that ripple effect may happen after it gets practiced into rotation more.
I have to say this. First of all, it's a pleasure doing the show with you.
Well,
And
thank you.
we learned so much. And in this case, I just learned something from Susan.
What's that?
Susan says, we all want to be witnessed.
Mhm. We
Now,
do.
understanding that we all want to be witnessed, we can now be assured that the other people that we're talking about and talking to also want to be witnessed. So give them their opportunity to be witnessed as well as you get, and that can bring about kindness.
Mhm.
Allow
Very
them.
well said. Thank you.
So no, Susan did it. I
Mm.
just I just
Very
had
well said. Thank you.
thank you, Susan. That was awesome. So you, by the way, it's Wednesday night. It's your hubby's home. It's time for you to get ready to go make dinner and have.
Nope, actually, it's his pool night. He has a couple of gentlemen that he safely, plays pool with, and it's kinda my night to kinda collect myself. And he's decided that I don't have to make dinner on Wednesday nights, so it's nice.
That's very kind of him.
Yes, yeah, yeah, uh-huh.
He was witnessing what you wanted and saw what you wanted, and he responded, and he's going to be kind.
He's gonna be kind. Yes,
Well,
he's when he was drinking, and he did this with probably not understanding why, he wanted a '60s wife. And I kept telling him, "Sorry, not that.
do you know?
Definitely not that." And so we've practiced not having a '60s wife.
Do you know what you're going to have to define? I have in my mind what being a '60s wife would be. What's in your mind?
The one that, has food ready when someone comes home for work, and it looks beautiful, and, house is clean, and da 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 does.
I used to have dreams about that. Never happened in real life, but
It ain't happening here.
I used to have dreams and I also had dreams that my significant other when we were younger would come to the front door naked to greet me. That never happened either. So I, I guess the fact of the matter is I've lost out in most of the exciting things in life.
And so there you just don't wanna try it again, do you?
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, well, I hope we made somebody smile a little bit tonight, and I'm so grateful that everyone, if I'm hoping that this reaches someone that just helps them today. And if you need any help with your day-to-day work and your day-to-day life, that you can always reach me at my website, which is angelicclarifications.com, or you can reach me by email at natasha@angelicclarifications.com.
And I suggest that you do both of those things because she has proven to me in the last two episodes that she really is really good at this stuff. You've been, you've been doing it more, and I appreciate that. I think you should.
Well,
Uh,
thank you.
Everybody who's listening agrees with me. They're nodding their heads approvingly. You should do this more.
Yeah, there's been some big shifts the last couple of weeks, and I've had a very hard time. That was part of that what I was walking through when things were imploding, was as I was getting an upgrade in type of thing, things were getting cleaner.
Yep.
So
Well,
just throw everything in the bag. Let's shake it up and let's just navigate it, and then have the human just walk forward through it.
and at the end of the day, enjoy what you call life, because that's all
Exactly.
you know.
Oh,
You can
oh,
have
life, and then we do it, right? We have life, and then we do it. So blessings to everyone, and thank you for all who want to watch. To maybe I hope to shift something in the moment of where they're at by even looking in the mirror and being kind to the one looking back.
now. Do you
'Cause
want me to play the opening now? I can. For those of you who don't get that joke, it's because I screwed up the opening earlier today, and didn't play it properly, and so I just
So
thought,
let's be perfectly imperfect, and let's start the show at the end of the show.
exactly. You might as well. It fits in with your dyslexic personality. It's like,
Thank you.
I mean, and by the way, which is one of the reasons why you are the way you are and who you are, is because of the issues that you had.
Yes.
Growing up. So it's
I'm so grateful for her, that part of me that's dyslexic, because it kept me out of the politics of what was being written, spoken, and I had to get my own truth. And I'm so very grateful.
awesome.
So very grateful.
Well, anything else you'd like to add before we politely excuse ourselves from the table?
From the words of Jesus, that being human is not an easy walk, but know my angels that walk on this earth. Yes, you humans are the angels I'm speaking of, that just know that it's okay to be the unperfect one. That today it starts with being okay with that. So just know, be okay with you.
That's right. Dang it. And be happy with yourself.
And be happier.
I suppose you can always get a little happier, but I'm about happiness out today.
Yeah, your day started at 7:00 this morning, our time, and now it's ended with me.
6:00, but it's been a wonderful day. I've had more fun today than people should be allowed to have. So I
Good.
appreciate you, Natasha. I appreciate the folks that came on earlier, Eric and at the noon show and stuff. And it's been great fun. So tomorrow's another day. We're gonna have one. I hope.
Yes, me too.
So
Me too. That's why I'm grateful for today.
that's all we got. We don't got nothing else. So take care, my dear. Hey, and thanks for listening to this episode all the way to the end. Hey, pretty cool. Hey, don't forget to follow us so you can receive regular updates and new posts. And remember, take care of each other, because each other's all we got. See you next time on My Independence Report.